Lu Yi frowned slightly. Although he instinctively felt that Mozoki's expression did not seem to be fake or like an old witch who hides her cultivation level and pretends to be a pig to eat the tiger, he still dare not take it lightly. After thinking for a while, he asked in a deep voice, "Dare to ask the girl name?" Mozoki gritted her teeth and stared at him without answering. Lu Yi's brow furrowed more severely. The other party was silent, which really embarrassed him, so he could only ask again, "Then dare to ask the girl where she came from?" "I saw that the girl seemed to be kind, and vaguely similar to someone I knew, maybe, you and me may have some connections. If this is the case, please ask the girl tell me, lest the flood rushes to the Dragon King temple and the family does not recognize the family." Obviously, he wanted to make the matter to turn into a small matter. After all, Mozoki's weirdness made Lu Yi really unable to see through her, so it is better not to provoke such a person easily, otherwise it is very likely to bring disaster to the sect. Especially in the current Maplewood City where dragons and snakes are mixed, and people from all major forces are emerging one after another, Lu Yi felt that Mozoki was very likely to be a direct disciple of a certain super sect. As long as someone with a little bit of experience faces Lu Yi's rhetoric, they should know how to proceed. But where did Mozoki know this? She didn't expect to give Lu Yi and the people of Flying Saint Palace a step down. Hearing this, she said, "How is there any connection? I have not even heard of your Flying Saint Palace. My spirit, are we related?" Lu Yi's face was as dark as the bottom of a pot, and he secretly scolded Mozoki for being too ignorant, and he didn't know if the other party really didn't understand it or not. However, some clues revealed by Mozoki just now. But Lu Yi was secretly surprised. Mozoki just now clearly wanted to say spirit but stop, but in this star boundary, there are many forces beginning with the word spirit. Flying Saint Palace can't afford to provoke them, and Lu Yi couldn't infer it for a while. The true origin of the other party. Just when he felt like riding a tiger, a strange laugh suddenly came from the crowd. Who? Lu Yi was irritated and looked at the source of the sound naturally and unceremoniously. He saw a person wrapped in a black robe walking out over there, unable to see his face, but from the voice of this person, he should be a man. There is the power fluctuation of the Third Order Void King realm, like Mozoki. The black robe man who came out was naturally Xianxia. He really couldn't stand it anymore. Others don't know what Mozoki's temperament is, but he knows it well, knowing that if it is not handled well this time, even if Flying Saint Palace people have scruples, they will also attack Mozoki for their face and sect reputation. If it really happen, he didn't know if Mozoki can resist it. Although there are many magical things in her body, the other party has a second-order principal source stage martial artist, which is enough to arouse the world's law. Whether the artifacts on her body can exert its effect is hard to say. Faced with Lu Yi's question, Xianxia didn't mean to respond. Instead, he went directly to Mozoki and said, "Young lady, you are here, it's not easy for subordinate to find you." Young lady?" Mozoki's heart instinctively burst out, thinking that her whereabouts had been revealed. Her father sent someone to catch her, and subconsciously took out something from the space ring and prepared to flee directly. But she soon felt something wrong again. Because of that person's voice, she felt a little familiar. At this moment, Xianxia showed a little appearance. Mozoki was stunned when she saw it, and a surprise light burst into her beautiful eyes. "Ah, it's you, you are not dead." Xianxia covered his face again, and he smiled, "Young lady, please don't make it hard for me next time. Although your subordinate is tough, he can't stop your power. After resting for many days, I finally recovered." While speaking, Xianxia winked at Mozoki quietly, fearing that the little girl would have no eyesight. He quietly gave her spiritual mind voice transmission so that she would not speak. Mozoki turned her head into a chicken pecking rice. The martial artists onlookers who listened to it had a black line on their face, and they all looked at Xianxia sympathetically, as if looking at a hard-working subordinate who was responsible for protecting the safety of his own noble young lady, not only had to work as a nanny, but also had to endure his young lady painful blow. Young lady, what's going on here?" Xianxia pretended to find something unusual, and turned his head around while asking, immediately furious, and shouted in a low voice, "Who dares to be so bold and dare to attack my young lady? Impatient to die?" He is a third-order Void King realm martial artist, in front of a second-order principal source stage powerhouse, he pulls the tiger skin as a banner, without fear, but he has a vicious expression on his face, and his murderous intent is almost condensed. Overflowing, many people's complexion changed drastically. Well, there is such a bold person in this world, he, now I'm afraid even if the star envoy is here, he will not be able to save your life. Yang Kai grinned and looked around, hiding under the black robe. His scarlet eyes were like a wild beast. This fierce appearance was enough, and the information revealed in his words made Lu Yi's face suddenly collapsed. Even the star envoy is powerless when he come here. What are these two people origin? Is it the heir of a senior staff from the South Territory Overlord Star Soul Palace? Someone like Lu Yi was so scared, let alone Ning Yuan Cheng. He thought he was walking sideways as the young master of Flying Saint Palace in this Maplewood city. No one dared to mess with him at all. He don't know that he would immediately provoke a noble existence that even the star envoy would be powerless against. In a moment, Ning Yuan Chen's face turned pale, his legs trembled, and he looked at Lu Yi imploringly. Although the latter has the powerful cultivation level of the second-order principal source stage, what is this cultivation level in front of those peak forces? Anyone who came out of the Star Soul Palace could crush Flying Saint Palace into powder. He secretly swallowed his saliva, clasped his fists, saying, "This friend, let's calm down. It's just that this girl has some misunderstandings with my young master. Several disciples who don't have eyesight offended this girl, but they have been punished. For the rudeness, I also ask for this friend Bright View. Is that so?" Yang Kai squinted at Lu Yi. "Exactly. Friends, look, this girl is actually unscathed. Humph, if young lady is hurt, do you think you can still stand here and talk to me?" Yang Kai sneered. Lu Yi was secretly angry. After all, there is a huge gap between him and Yang Kai. There has never been a Void King realm who dared to speak to him so boldly, but dare not show it, because the other party origin is not small, and there must be more than one third-order Void King realm protecting the girl. Maybe there are even more powerful experts secretly protecting her. When the man covered in black robes was talking to him, he made a few inexplicable gestures with one hand in a certain direction, apparently informing his companion some information. Upon discovering this, Lu Yi gradually oozes cold sweat on his forehead. Because under his spiritual mind perception, he didn't even notice the existence of a strong person here. There is only one possibility in this situation: the strong person hiding in the dark is stronger than himself. Dare to ask this friend, where did you come from? Although Lu Yi was frightened by Yang Kai, he was always a little unwilling. After hesitating for a moment, he cautiously tried to ask Yang Kai's origin. "Humph!" Yang Kai snorted, looked at them up and down, and asked instead, "Are you from Flying Saint Palace?" "Yes." Lu Yi nodded, wondering why Yang Kai asked this for. "Want to know where we are from?" "Yes, you come over and I will tell you, but you have to pay a price." Yang Kai smiled slightly, and then whispered, "Within 3 days, Flying Saint Palace will be removed from the South Territory. I just don't know if you can afford the price." Lu Yi's whole body was shocked, his face suddenly pale. "Do you still want to know?" Yang Kai scorned him. "It's Lu who made a mistake, my friend, please don't blame me." Lu Yi was completely frightened. How dare he ask one more word? "A group of jumping clowns, frogs at the bottom of the well, this king is too lazy to be familiar with you. For the sake of the young ladies unscathed, I will bypass you this time, if there is another." Yang Kai looked angry, and squinted at Lu Yi. After a pause, he said, "You understand." Lu Yi was soaked with sweat. At this moment, he was not concerned about his sect and his own face, and he quickly clasped his fists and said, "Thank you, this friend." As he spoke, he quickly pulled Ning Yuan Cheng, who is standing still in place as if losing his soul, and he shouted, "Let's go." The remaining disciples of Flying Saint Palace didn't dare staying in this place, quickly take the corpse on the ground, and followed Lu Yi. "Young lady, let's go too." Until this moment, Yang Kai breathed a sigh of relief and quickly shouted at Mo Zioki. At this moment, the little girl stared at Yang Kai with bright eyes, with an expression of admiration. Almost all stars in those two eyes were twinkling. "Let's go." Seeing her appearance, Yang Kai couldn't help but urge in a low voice. After all, Lu Yi is a second-order principal source stage. A bluff of his own might be able to fool him for a while, but he can't be fooled for a long time. If he wants to understand something, come to him to verify it, then it is over. So presumptuous in front of a second-order principal source stage powerhouse, how can one have any good fruits to eat? Hey, don't go, what about the 50,000 source crystal? The seller before want to make a fortune, and he hurriedly shouted. You are not ashamed to ask for the 50,000 source crystal? Believe it or not, I will take your life? Yang Kai stared, the old man suddenly smiled, and stepped back, keeping a safe distance from Yang Kai. Let's go. Yang Kai grabbed Mo Zioki's wrist and prepared to take her away from here. The next moment, he let go of Mo Zioki's wrist like being shocked by electric, with blood on his palm. Ah, I'm sorry, brother Yang. Mo Zioki finally recovered and began to apologize hurriedly. To be continued.